Hey, what is going on, guys? Thank you for joining me and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we post tips, tricks, and all sorts of things about Rainbow Six. So take a peek, see if you like it, and sub if you do. But this right here is going to be a massive one. These always take so long and you guys always ask for them, even though it doesn't really change that much between seasons. But even if like one gun changes, someone wants me to redo the whole video, and I got so many comments this time, even though I feel like only a few ops changed. I have changed some attachments though, so we're gonna run through these. As always, this is what all the muzzles do. I'm gonna just give you guys a little screenshot here of what they actually do, because just because the flash hider says burst and the muzzle brake says single shot, that does not mean that that's what they should be used for. And also, as for the grips, I personally love no recoil, but if you have your recoil down, do the angled grip every single time. For the weapons that I struggle a little bit more on with the recoil, or I just want zero recoil at all, I'm gonna do vertical grip. That means basically that's helping my recoil, but angled grip makes me scope in faster. So you got to really pick your poison on that one. But those are the two different ones, plus all the muzzles and what they do. We're going to get right into this, and for time's sake, I will not be giving every single pistol, okay? The pistols are muzzle brake. Every single one has a muzzle brake on it. That's just single shot, just always muzzle, except IQ. IQ has a suppressor. That's it. That is the only different one. And for shields, it has muzzle and laser. But other than that, completely just muzzle brake. So I'm not going to click every single one. I'm also not going to show every single weapon. I'm only going to show viable weapons. If a weapon, in my opinion, is just not as viable as the other, I'm not going to show it to you. I don't want to set you up for failure. And I'm also going to be saying these at a slower pace so you could follow along, where you don't actually have to like look at the screen. You could just go along. So if I just am going through every single one, you can just play me in the background and I'll just say I'm like, for example, we're going to go into sledge. So we're going to go to loadout. We go into L85A2, scope 2.5x, muzzle brake, and vertical grip. As for the secondary, we do SMG11, hollow, flash, vertical grip, and then we do frag grenades. So it's going to go something like that for every single one. So follow along if you wish, or just skip to whichever one if you wish as well. Also, I'm assuming that you have every operator, which is probably not always true for everyone. So we're going to go through attackers, then defenders. We start at sledge. Let's run it up. Okay, Thatcher, we have two weapons that we could use, the AR-33 and the L85. I like the L85 first of all, and that is going to be 2x muzzle and vertical. As for the AR-33, 2.5 times flash hider and angled grip. As for the pistol, muzzle brake, and then claymore, okay? Personally, I would use the L85 with Thatcher, but you could use whichever one. As for Ash, we have Ash. She has the two good guns, but the R4C is the superior of the two. That's going to be hollow, muzzle, and vertical grip. You could also run the G36. I have a class set up for that. I actually like to run the hollow over the 1.5 times on that, and that's a muzzle and angled. R4C is by far more powerful, so I would usually use that. As for the pistols, you have a choice. I like to go with the one with more damage most of the time because it's usually a panic pullout. So the M45 with the muzzle, and then I like to use the claymore. You don't have stuns anymore. That's unfortunate. But you already have 3 breaches, so I don't want any more. I just will do the claymore. There's really no need in it, but you got to do what you got to do. Thermite, you got the 5.56 XI, 2x flash hider, and angled grip for that guy. As for the pistol, you have the M45, and once again, muzzle, and then a claymore or a stun. I like to do the claymore to watch your flank whenever you are playing thermite, since most of the time you have to, leave your flank exposed. So the claymore can help with that. As for Twitch, I like to use either of these guns, the F2 or the 417. Usually the F2 though, that's really the main. So I would do the F2 1.5 times flash hider vertical, or the 412, you're going to do 3x muzzle and vertical. And then as for your secondary, I actually would go with the P9 here over the Magnum. You could do whatever one you want, but once again, the P9, it's a little easier than the Magnum. If you miss with the Magnum shot, you're probably screwed. So P9, then claymore or stun. I go with claymore, but it doesn't really matter on Twitch. Twitch is not an operator you should play every single time. As for Montaigne, just a pistol, P9, or you could use the revolver here. Some people disagree with me when I say the revolver is okay, but you could do whatever, but muzzle and laser, because this is a shield. You're going to want the laser, so you could just sit there with the laser, and hopefully that helps you aim in some way. Also, you could do smoke or hard breach. If you guys don't have a hard breach, you could actually be kind of the hard breach with Monty if you didn't know, or you could be smoke and plant the bomb. It's really situational, but you can change it before the round. If you're going to plant, then get the smoke grenades and go ahead, go with that. As for Glaz, you don't really have a choice with the sniper, but I like to go reflex muzzle. Don't really know what that's going to do for you. This gun's trash, and then the It really is just not good. You are going to need the PMM though. 61 damage pistol, pretty fire, and then a muzzle brake on that as well. And you're also going to want to go with smokes, because that's Glaz's entire ability is seeing through the smoke. So if you don't do that, then that is unfortunate. This is one of those ones that I run vertical grip on. This is the AK-12 on Fuse. So for the AK-12, I use the 2X muzzle and vertical grip. Okay. A lot of the times with all of these muzzles, I got this actually a lot of experience, first of all, but I also look at a lot of other people's stuff, what they're doing, a lot of pro players. I also looked at this YouTube video. This guy did a fantastic job if you guys want to check it out. It's this guy, his username's just Cow, okay? And he did a great breakdown of every single muzzle for every single weapon. And some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't, but he did a full breakdown of every single muzzle. So check that out if you're interested. So I just used a lot of pros, my own experience, and of course videos like that. So that's where I got these from in the first place, just so you guys know. As for the pistol, the PMM, and then you're probably going to want to go with the hard breach charge here, or you could go with the breach. Depends on what you're trying to do. With the hard breach charge, you can get hatches while you're above, since that is something that you're going to want to be playing above whenever you are fused, or you could just do the soft ones. As for blitz, you're just going to do a pistol with a laser and a muzzle. IQ, this is the one with the suppressed pistol, guys, so that's something different. So the two weapons, the only ones I would consider using is the G8 hollow flash angled. This one you could also run compensator. I've actually been switching between them. Whatever one feels better. They're both very similar, but I have been rocking with the flash hider as of late. Hollow, flash, and angled. If you are struggling with the recoil on this, do vertical grip. It really is going to help you out. As for the 5.52, 1.5 times compensator and angled grip for that guy. And then the pistol suppressed and a claymore for you. Buck, you have a lot of vertical recoil and horizontal recoil, so I actually go with the flash hider. It's kind of like a hybrid between them. And then a 1.5 times and a laser sight. A laser on this one because you have the skeleton key and you're going to want the laser for that. I wouldn't recommend using the DMR at all, so don't do that. And then muzzle brake on the MK1, plus you have the claymore or the stun. You used to have frags, but you don't anymore. I know it sucks, but sometimes I just go with the claymore, sometimes I go with the stun. Usually a claymore though, because if I'm leaving my back exposed while I'm shooting up or down or whatever, doing any vertical play, I want the claymore to be watching my back. So that is my mindset with that. As for Blackbeard, you probably shouldn't play him unless if you want to get called a rat, because he does have a shield in front of his face. But the MK17, 1.5 times flash and vertical grip, I really don't think zooming in fast is important with Blackbeard, as you're usually just proned on a window, or not proned, but just mounted on a window. So I don't really need that. Or you could use the DMR, and with that in mind, you're going to want to use the maximum scope, the 3X, muzzle, and vertical grip as well. And then the Deagle, all you can do really is just put that muzzle brake on. I don't really play Blackbeard that much. That's why I don't even have the loadout correct, but that is the loadout I would use here. As for Capiteo, we got two weapons that I'm going to give you guys both of the loadouts. 1.5 times flash hider and angled grip for the Para 308. If you want to run with the LMG though, that is a total viable option. I like to go with the ACOG, the 2X, compensator, and vertical grip. And then as for the pistol, muzzle of course, and then you have either the claymore or the hard breach charge. Capiteo is already so situational, so usually I'm actually being the hard breach charge too, but once again, it's such a situational operator. As for Habana, a lot of vertical recoil as well. Type 89, you have low mag size, so you don't really have to worry about a full compensator or anything. But I switch between the hollow and the 1.5 times. Now, I don't like the 2.5 because it is very zoomed in. If you're very good at the recoil with it, then go for it. But I'm not really an ACOG guy myself. I like the 2Xs more than the 2.5Xs on most weapons. A lot of the time, it has something to do with recoil. You don't have to do what everyone else does, by the way. You just got to do what works for you. This is what works for me. It might work for you, might not. So, adjust it how you see fit. Whenever something sucks, whenever you use it, switch it. It's that simple. So 1.5 or hollow, muzzle, and then vertical grip. This is one of those ones that I usually like the recoil help on. If I don't, then angled grip and just fine. If you're using the hollow, you can get away with the angled grip, but if you're using an ACOG, you're probably going to want to rock with the vertical grip unless if you're very, very good at it. The bearing 9 though, hollow, compensator, and laser for that. That's what works for me. I know compensator probably sounds funny with that. Probably use flash is what you would think, but compensator works for me with the bearing 9. Absolutely insane. And then stun grenades. We're almost halfway through with the attackers. So Jackal, C70 or the PDW. I like to use the 2X, flash hider, and angled grip. This is one of those ones where 2x is just really easy to use, and you can use angled as well because there is absolutely no recoil on the weapon. As for the PDW, I like to use hollow, compensator, and vertical grip. I don't really use the PDW that much though, so don't don't quote me for that one. Use the C7E honestly, and then I use the shotgun as the backup. For all shotguns, most shotguns at least, I put the laser sight on, and then sometimes I throw on a reflex or a holographic sight. Either or, it doesn't really matter. That's personal preference. But I would put on a laser for most shotguns so you could just hip fire. I would also put on a claymore with jackal since you are going to be roam clearing. It's easy to just set traps up. As for Ying, you got that LMG, the T95 LSW. I like to use the 2x compensator and vertical grip. Most of the time I'm not running around corners and stuff and don't need angled grip. If you find yourself in different situations, then go for it. I also don't find myself wanting to use the 2.5 times. I like to have that no recoil, and that is what this does precisely. As for the pistol, just a pistol and a muzzle. Then I also use smoke grenades. You could use the hard breach if it's a situation that you need it, but I like the more throwables. I could burn everything, just throw a bunch of everything, even though you don't really need to burn stuff anymore. Still nice to know. Zofia, the M762. You're gonna want to use the 2x. That's as high as it goes. A flash hider and a angled grip. This is one of those ones I don't need the vertical grip on. I play it so often that I'm totally used to the recoil. So once you get used to a gun so much, like Habana or whatever these guns, you could just use the angled and you'll get used to it. So if you're really trying to stick to a main, end up with the angled grip eventually, hopefully. But then you have the RG15. This has a built-in scope, which is cool. And then a claymore as your gadget. And then we go to Doke. Doke has that DMR, the MK14. You're not going to want to use the Boss G ever. But the MK14 EBR, you have the 3x, the muzzle, and a angled grip as well. You're going to want to use the C75, and I like to put the suppressor on it. And then frag grenades, easy choice there. As for Lion, I use the V308 2X flash hider and angled grip as well. As for the 417, I wouldn't touch it on this weapon because your normal gun does 44 already. I never touch the 417. And for the shotgun, if you want to use a shotgun, hollow or laser, basically laser and whatever else you could put on it is pretty much all you want to do with shotguns. But the V308 is what I would use. I use the P9 muzzle and then also a hard breach charge or a stun. Hard breach charge is so situational for every single one of these guys, so don't worry about that too much. We're gonna move on to Finka, the Spear 308, 2x muzzle and vertical. This is a gun that does not have much recoil at all, so that's that. I also would only use the spear on this. The 6P41 has one of the slowest ADS times. I mean, I guess all LMGs just have really slow ADSs in my opinion, but I'm just not into that. So Spear 308, I'm not trying to set you guys up for failure. Spear 308 is what you should be using. Then the PMM, also I would use frag grenades on Finka. Also, I wouldn't really use Finka that much, but to each their own. We're moving on to Maverick, an operator I would use. The M4 1.5 times muzzle and angled grip for me. And then the 1911, the pistol, is a muzzle, and then also use frag grenades. You can make little murder holes, throw the nades through, and kill the bandits every sinsingle time. If you want to use the AR-15, this is the class I use. 3x, muzzle, angled, and laser. If I use a laser on something, you don't have to use it. I know lasers aren't the smartest things. I just like lasers on some things, so don't worry about me. Worry about yourself. ARX 200 on Nomad. We have the 2x and a muzzle. That one's very simple. And then you also have the choice between the little hand cannon with the ACOG or the PRB. I use the hand cannon just for the memes of it. But if you actually want a pistol that's a little bit smarter, probably the PRB with the muzzle brake. You really don't need a pistol with an ACOG that only does 50 damage, but sometimes in life you just do it. As for your gadget, just a stun grenade here, and then we're moving on down to Gridlock. Gridlock has that same LMG that Capiteo has. However, I like to use the F90. It's a pretty solid weapon with a 2x scope, muzzle, and a vertical grip. Makes it really good. If you don't want to do that, you have M249, and then we have the 2.5 times or the 2x, depending on what you want to rock with. In my situation, I'm using the 2.5 times compensator and vertical grip on that, and then the super shorty. Okay, that one just has a laser on it. Then I also use a smoke grenade. So either of those classes will be sufficient. Gridlock's pretty solid. And then Nuck, you got the FMG9. You also have a 1.5 times on it, so that's nice. And then you have a flash hider. FMG9 is really good with the flash hider. As for your pistol, I like to rock with the Deagle, 71 damage, and then muzzle brake on that. And I also would probably use frag grenades. None of these really fit the operator too well, but I guess frag grenades are cool, so we go with that. And now moving on to Amaru, you got the same G8 as you do with IQ. However, you can put a nicer scope on this. I like to put the 2X on it, not the 2.5. It's a little too zoomed in whenever you're a kind of more rushy operator with Amaru. Plus a flash hider and a angled grip. And then the SMG 11 hollow flash vertical grip, just like all the other ones we've done. And then stun grenades on that. Cali, there's not much to do here with the sniper, but you can make the SMG 9 the one that you're going to want to do. SMG 9 is better than the C75 by far. I like to put a flash hider on that. This is a really nice buff that they did to her a few seasons back on the SMG 9. Very good visibility with this pistol, while the C70 has pretty trash visibility. Also, use some claymores on that. Now, there's 3 more attackers. Yana, so you have the ARX or the G36. ARX does way, way, way better damage, so I like to use that, but you do have less magazine size. So 2.5 times flash vertical, or you could use the muzzle. It's really just a toss up with some of these weapons. I use different ones for each one sometimes depending on what scope I'm using. With this exact situation, 2.5 times flash vertical. If you want to use the G36, use the same class as Ash, and then a muzzle brake on the MK1, and we use frag grenades on basically any operator that we can use. And now moving on to Ace, we have another AK-12, which is the holy grail of weapons. 2x muzzle and vertical. This is the best setup I found for the littlest recoil as possible. The muzzle and the vertical combo is absolutely bueno, and the P9 is with a muzzle, and then smoke grenades. You know, none of those really fit either, but smoke grenades are cool for planting and stuff, so that's cool. As for Zero, you have 2 very viable weapons. You have the MP7, the 1.5 times in a flash, or you could use the SC3000K, and that's a 2x flash hider and an angled. Either one you're not going to go wrong with. One's a SMG though, one's a AR, whatever your preferred playstyle is. As for the pistol, you can't really do much there. And then a claymore, they took away the frags for him. Okay, we are halfway done. Now we got to move on to the 29 defenders. Hopefully you guys are keeping up. Okay. Moving on, smoke. You have 2 options here, mostly just the shotgun SMG 11 combo. So if you want to do that, your shotgun, laser. I actually would put a hollow on this normally, but shotgun, and then the SMG 11, hollow, flash, vertical, just like all the other times. But if you want to use the SMG 9, it's not the terriblest idea. I would say get better with the SMG 11 shotgun combo, but if you want to, you have a 1.5 times and a flash hider, so that's not bad at all. Also, you're going to want to have a deployable shield on basically any operator that you can have a deployable shield on. As for mute, you once again have that same option here. You could either go with the SMG or the shotgun SMG combo. If you want to go with the SMG, I would use the MP5K with 1.5 times and a muzzle brake, or the shotgun and the SMG 11 combo, hollow, flash, vertical, just like all the other ones. And then you're going to want a C4. Most of the time you want to put C4 on any operator you can. Castle, you have the UMP, one of the worst guns in the game. 1.5 times, muzzle, and angled. Don't really have to worry about recoil with this weapon, but you do have to worry about hitting heads, or else you will not be getting kills anytime soon because it's absolutely trash. You do have the super shorty now with Castle. That's a good, nice buff to him. Great for rotation holes, so do that. Also, you have a bulletproof camera or proximity. Bulletproof camera feels like it's more useful in my honest opinion. Pulse, another UMP5 45 combo. This time you don't have the 1.5 times though, unfortunately. And then hollow, muzzle, angled, and then you can run a shotgun actually with this guy. If you do that, then just know that you have no medium range, but you can do it. Plus, you're going to want a C4 on this one by far. You're also going to want to use the M45 pistol, but C4 is very, very important with Pulse. You're going to want that over barb any day. You need the C4, so you could C4 from under. As for Doc, we had a lot of nerfs with you, but MP5 is the best one by far. 1.5 times, flash hider, and vertical grip. If you can control the P90, I mean, go for it. It just shoots like a little pea shooter, so I wouldn't really do anything. I don't have a class for it at all, but I would run flash hider and whatever the high scope is, the 1.5. So I would just run the MP5, but to each their own, as always. And then the P9 as the pistol, and then barbed wire or bulletproof. Barbed wire for most people because barbed wire can actually slow them down, as a pistol can do, or as a camera can just get knifed. Rook, same situation. Just go to the 2x muzzle and the vertical. Actually, I have been changing these a lot to flash hider. Flash hider and muzzle. This is just these, you got to test around with these. I don't know what it's like with console versus PC or whatever. Just test these two, see which one works for you. So 2x flash or muzzle, and then vertical grip. And you could also use the P90, but not here. As for that, the P9, and also you're going to want impact grenades for rotation holes. Okay, so Capkin, we're moving on to Capkin. That is the 9x19 VSN. You can do a 1.5 times muzzle angled. You're going to have very little recoil with this setup. Very, very good. And also, I would use the PMM, highest damage pistol in the game besides a deagle. But that with the muzzle, and then a C4. If you could use a C4, usually use it, as always. Tachanka, though, this one's interesting because you have the DP27. This is kind of the only reason to play Tachanka, I guess. I guess it's not the only reason, but other than that, you'd have to just use the 9x19 if you want to do that. Same exact loadout as the past one. But the DP27, this is a fun weapon. Use that. You don't really have a choice of what you put on it. You just have that reflex. And the PMM and barbed wire for Chonky Boy. So Jaeger, my favorite op, one of my favorite ops on D. Hollow muzzle vertical grip, no recoil at all. Don't even worry about it. P12, you don't want that with the muzzle, of course. I didn't even have a muzzle on it. That's how much pistols don't matter. I have probably 1,000 hours on Jaeger and I don't even have a muzzle equipped, or maybe reset or something. I don't know. Other than that, you can use the M870. This is one of the best pistol or shotguns in the game. I think my stuff reset on this guy. But usually you want to go on the 416, especially if you're trying to be competitive as possible. If you're just having fun, though, this is a good shotgun. Same one that Bandit actually has, so same exact loadout if you wanted that. As for the MP7 on defense, I like to use the flash hider, and I like to use no sight. Try it out on Bandit. MP7 with no sight is fire. If not, then if that's not for you, go with the hollow, of course, and then a nitro cell for Bandit. As for Frost, this is a operator that is not very good. The 9mm C1, 1.5 times extended barrel. That's what I use on it. I don't want to put a suppressor on it, so I put the extended barrel. Not really a choice there, but gotta do what you gotta do. Also, you do have the choice now of the shotgun, so I guess I would use that now since it's a choice. So the ITA, same one that a lot of ops have, and deployable shield. You don't want that, so you can put your frost traps behind them. Valkyrie, though, you got the MPX, very good weapon, but also a very underpowered weapon. This is one of those ones I use laser that you might not want to, but hollow, muzzle, angled, and then I use laser, but you could use whatever the hell you want to do. As for the deagle, just the deagle, muzzle, and I also use laser on that. Don't know why, just my cup of tea. And then the nitro cell for Valk. You're going to want that for sure, so you could use your cams and throw nitros out. As for Cav, you're going to want to use the shotgun most of the time, so you could have the shotgun and then also this pistol. So this is close range. This is just the pistol. Kind of makes Cav what Cav is. Then impact grenades, you're going to want to be able to get out of situations if you get stuck in those. So Echo, this is the operator that got absolutely destroyed. Okay, but at least it got his deployable shield back. So MP5 SD, 1.5 times angled grip, not too bad on the recoil there. Bearing 9, hollow flash, or compensator, either or. Either way, you're only getting kills with the bearing 9 if you're basically stuffing your barrel into them because the recoil is so insane. Then deployable shield, you kind of have to go with the deployable shield basically. And then Mira, you have the greatest gun ever. Vector, 1.5 times, compensator, vertical grip, and I like to use the laser. Shouldn't matter too much, but this is very, very fun. This is a very fun gun to use. You're also going to want to use the shotgun for sure. So with Mira, you always have to break holes up high, if you know, and make C4 holes. So the ITA 12 is a great option for that, and you're also going to need the C4, of course, for that. So pick the C4. And now moving on to Legion, we got the Goose and the T5 SMG, 1.5 times with a flash hider. This is a very, very weird weapon that I think is a little broken at the moment, but use it if you can. And then the Q929 pistol muzzle, and then impact grenades for Legion. Now moving on forward, we're going to move on to Ella. This is a very hard weapon to control. You got the Scorpion Evo hollow flash vertical grip. This has been my saving grace whenever I'm trying to play Ella. If not, you can use this pistol, the shotgun. It's actually pretty good, the FO12. So if you want to do that, hollow, extended, angled, that's my setup with that. Then the RG15, muzzle and laser for me. And also, you're going to want to use barbed wire if you're roaming. If you want to stay around sight, though, use a deployable shield. Basically, you can go either or with that one, but I like to base it off that. If you're roaming, do that. If you're anchoring, do that. As for Vigil, you have the K1A or the Boss G, but the K1A hollow, flash, angled, flash or muzzle with this, either or works just fine. It's one of those with very low recoil, so it doesn't matter. D75, in my opinion, is better than the SMG12 because the recoil. And I also do not put the suppressor on this one. So that's that. And then impact grenades, since you are a roamer, you can make some rotation holes before you leave. Now you got Maestro, the Alda 556 hollow compensator and vertical grip. Is a very, very, very good weapon, okay? You could also use the ACS 12. This is a weapon that just got this 2x, so it's one of the few weapons that has a kind of ACOG on defense. So if you want that, you could use that. However, it is kind of a shotgun, kind of a DMR. It's a really weird weapon, but the Alda is just so good, so I don't really use this, but 2x angled is okay with that. I would also use the Balif. This lets you do rotation holes. You could do a laser or no laser, whatever you want to do, but this is great for rotation holes, basically, is the main reason for that. So you won't, if you have this for rotation holes, you don't need impacts, so that's why I use barbed wire. That's all impacts are really for, so that's why I would use barbed wire, since you have that. Then Alibi, the MX4 Storm, okay? This is one of those guns that has no recoil, so I actually run the hollow, flash, and angled, and I'm set there. And then I also run the Balif and a deployable shield. Balif once again, so you could do rotations, and then the shield, so you could kind of set your Geminis behind it if you want to, but you don't have to. As for Clash, you have the SMG 9. So flash hider, laser, doesn't really matter with Clash. As long as you have the SMG 9, you're going to be Gucci. Also, you're going to want barbed wire, probably. I like to play with the barbed wire. If I'm going to be Clash, I can play off the barbed wire, use it as sound cues, come around the corner with my shield, zap them, those kind of things. Now moving on to Kaid, this is an operator that just recently, a few seasons ago, got the 1.5 times. Made him a completely more viable operator now. 1.5 times muzzle angled, very good. Very low recoil, probably the lowest recoil out of all the weapons that have the 1.5 times. So I would, no brainer, that's what I would use. You could also use the SG12, but the AUG A3 is definitely my choice. Then you can use the handgun here, the LFP 586, or you could use that ACOG pistol, just like Nomad, but once again, not much reason to do that. And a nitro cell on Kaid. As for Moz, you have two viable options. The P10 Roni, this is a very fun gun to use. I like to use hollow, muzzle, or angled, or you could use flash. Once again, this is a weapon with very low recoil, or you could even use compensator for that matter. It doesn't matter with the P10, that's what's awesome about it. Or you could use the Commando 9, hollow, muzzle, angled. I personally use the P10. Even though the damage is less, I like the fire rate of the P10. More chances of hitting the head is basically how I look at it. The SDP muzzle, and then, of course, AC4 whenever you can do that. As for Warden, you have the same MPX as you do with Valk, but you do have a 1.5 times, so 1.5 times on the MPX with a muzzle brake and a angled grip. And I also don't mess around with the SMG12 on anything. If you do, then do that, but the P10C is just fine for me. I like the little scope on it, so I'm chilling without it. And then a C4. Warden's pretty trash, so don't worry about him too much. Goyo, you have the same gun as, not headgear, as Mira. So the Vector, hollow, compensator, vertical, and the laser. I like rocking with the laser with the Vector. If you don't, then just take it off. The P229 pistol, very decent pistol, 2-shot. And then you get C4 as well. Moving on, we got 4 more operators. This is going splendidly. Okay, Wamai, you have the two options. The AUG is a more powerful weapon than the MP5K, so usually you're going to want to use that. However, you want to use a hollow or a reflex. I actually like the reflex with this weapon. Weirdly enough, try it out if you are struggling with the hollow with this. But reflex, flash, or you could use the MP5K, and only because it has the 1.5 times, no other reason. So MP5K with a muzzle and 1.5 times is okay. Also, you're going to want to use a Karatos. It's a very strong pistol, 78 damage. You can kind of make holes through the walls, kind of like the Balif. However, it's not that good. You can't really make full rotations. And then the impact grenades, okay? And then you have Oryx. You got the T5 SMG now. This traded with Malusi. They traded. So hollow, flash hider, very, very solid. And then the Balif for rotations and shooting of patches and stuff like that. Plus some barbed wire as well. Or proximities. If you could play off the proximities, it's very, very powerful. I'm just not that good with Oryx yet. But if you can, then do it. Then you got Malusi, the MP5 with a hollow. And then flash, angled, Unfortunately, lost the T5, but gave it to Oryx instead. Good balance. Then the RG15 muzzle laser, okay, and C4. And how many more ops? We got one more. Aruni, the newest operator of the bunch. This is one of those. You have two options, but I would probably use the DMR, honestly. Or, I mean, you could use the P10 too, but it's neat to have a DMR on defense, and this is the only freaking defender that has it. So 1.5 times with an angled grip, that is going to be good for you. Or you could use the P10 if you want, hollow muzzle angled. And then the pistol and barbed wire. All right, that's what, all right, that took a long time as usual. These always take forever. But it's fine. If you guys want me to always do these, I'll continue to do them. Only when there's actual changes, though. I'm not just going to do one and copy and paste a video every single season. I'm not like that. I know a lot of people are, but I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to do it when stuff actually changes. But this was highly, highly requested, so hopefully you enjoyed. If you did enjoy it, like it so other people can see it, and consider subscribing to the channel. Here are two videos that I think you guys would enjoy, so go ahead and check those out. 2 tip videos from my channel. Go ahead and check that out for me. Thank you very much. Peace out.